Hey, today I'm going to show you how I built this, the best folding workbench in the world. Now, hold on, wait, listen. Don't click away. I know you've seen this before, okay? I get it. But this one's special, I promise. So let me show you what I've done. So this is actually the reason I want to make this workbench. I've got this folding table that my father left me, and it's functional, but I hate it. It's a pain in the butt. It's not large enough. I wanted something better. Now, the challenge I had in making this table is I only had so much space on the wall, and it was vertical space. Now, we've all seen videos where folks make a folding workbench that folds down from the wall, a vertically oriented workbench that folds down, and it's attached to the wall with, I don't know, a piano hinge or something like that. Great. But I wanted a bench that I could also then remove from the wall and move around the shop or my garage. You get what I'm saying. But then when you look at videos of benches that you can actually, remove from the wall and so forth, they're normally horizontally oriented. And that way the legs can fold in. Each leg is 34, 35 inches, something like that. So it needs to be a long enough of a bench that the legs can fold inside. These shorter benches, the legs can't fold inside, not if you're going to have 34-inch legs, unless you figure out how to fold everything inside, kind of transformer-wise. And that's what I'm doing here. So of course I start off by actually making the workbench table itself. That's pretty straightforward. There was nothing special here. But then I started cutting the legs. Okay, so as you see, 34, 35-inch legs, they don't fit. But if I then put one set of legs on the outside and another set of legs on the inside, well, now all of a sudden, these things fit. Now, for those legs that are on the inside, I made them just a little bit shorter. That way, I could go ahead and attach these casters. That allows me to move the bench around, and I don't need casters on all the legs. It works great on just having them on a couple. So then I use this tuna can here to mark off where I want to round off the ends of the legs, I guess the tops of the legs, I should say, so that they fold up and down inside the table nice and smooth. There's probably a better way to do this, but you know what? The chop saw, it did the job just fine, so there you go. I go ahead and shave off what I need and then sand off the rest, and yeah, we're totally set. Now, what I did here is I used the drill press to make sure that the initial hole, the one in the top of the leg, was perfect and straight and true and whatever other adjective you want to use for that. That way it could guide me as I then drilled holes through the workbench top, whatever you want to call that thing, the work surface. Since I started out with a nice, true, square hole, I could then start that off and finish it out without any fear of it being too far off the axis or whatever when I put this bolt on through. And then, of course, we're doing the same thing for all the other legs, getting everything set up, drilling the holes, kind of dry fitting things to make sure that everything works properly before I go on to the next step. Now, I want to put some cross members between the legs to make sure that they're good and steady, so I make sure that, accounting for the caster, that I'm putting these things in the right place and it still allows me to fold everything properly. Now, once again, there's probably a better way to take out the material where I want to put the cross beams, the cross members, but hell, this worked. Just go ahead and, cut up a bunch, snap them off, clean it up a bit, sand it, and yeah, you're good to go. It worked out really nicely. Once again, I do a dry fit to make sure that everything is where it's going to be once it's all assembled. That way it allows me to put these cross member support beams, whatever we call these things, in place, and they're good and set and, looking good, working properly. You get what I'm saying. Now, as you know, if you've been watching this channel at all, I tend to overdo things. So yes, I glued them, but then I also screwed them in place. So yeah, these things are not coming off. They are in. Now, there's a problem with that you'll see here in just a moment. And then I can put the casters on and we're all good. Now, I want to put in a cross beam between the two sets of legs, and I didn't really think about this properly. I'm pretty proud of how I approached all of this, but this one I did not think out quite right, and so I kind of cobbled things together. And then, if you notice, I'm having to take out sections of the cross beams, cut out a slot for the larger, long cross beam to go in. I'm cutting it out when it's on the legs. I should have cut this out before I put it on the legs. I should have done it the same way that I did the legs themselves, but, it worked. So eventually I got this cross member going. So now this table is secure. So as you see, it's pretty slick. I can just lift up one end and move it around on the casters, set it just the way I want. I can then lock the casters in place so they're not going to roll around on me. And yeah, I've got myself a nice little workbench. Does the job. Now, I've never used a router before, but I thought, you know what, I'm doing a lot of things here that I've never done before, so I went ahead and took the router to round off the edges. That looks pretty nice. And then I put in this, iron bar, whatever, these iron pipes that I put together so that I could use this to attach it to the wall. Remember, I want to be able to put it on the wall and take it off the wall. A hinge wouldn't do the job like a piano hinge, so I'm using this as sort of a pivot. So I set the bars to come out far enough from the table that I can then attach them to the wall, which I'll do here in a moment, but then have plenty of space for that concrete lip down at the bottom. So yeah, I got these hooks and make sure that they're lined up properly. I set the hooks in the studs. Luckily, the size of all this and the orientation of the studs, their location and so forth, it worked, but I was kind of lucky in that regard. And then I can, just set the table up on the hooks. This allows me to then take out this cross member, lift the table on up, fold the legs in, and bam, it is stored. So yeah, there we go. I have to tell you, I'm super pleased with this thing. It turned out exactly as I had hoped. So yeah, use that as inspiration for your own workbench and go at it. All right. Hey, thanks for joining. We'll talk again soon.